Okay, what's up, guys? My name is Quinn Warren. I'm going to be your host today. Today, our guest is Matthew Kitchen, otherwise known as Kitchen. And so, Kitchen is a drummer. He plays for Subatomic Hero. He's also got a jazz project that he's playing with, and yeah, he's played with handful of groups, I'm pretty sure, as well in the past, and so yeah, we're gonna go over it. Heady, set, go!
Hey everyone, like Quinn said, my name's Matthew Kitchen, and I'm here to talk to Quinn about, everything music, everything me, and everything Heady, man.
Yeah.
So that's what we're doing today, and I guess, I'm in a jazz project. I'm with Subatomic Hero. I've been drumming for a very long time, and like he said, I've drummed for a lot of projects in my career.
So, where were you born, Kitchen? Where are you from?
I was born in Washington State, in Tacoma, on a military base.
Nice.
My father was Special Forces, and my mother was military intelligence at the time. And they decided to have me, which forced my mother into retirement, as well as my father, shortly after. So we moved to West Virginia for a little bit of time. Nice. And then maybe 8 months to a year after that, we moved to Dallas, closer to my mother's family. And that's where I pretty much grew up. Dallas, Texas, South Dallas, baby. Big
nice.
D.
Yeah. So you're a military brat?
Yeah.
So, nice. So you guys kind of moved around a little bit there?
Once or twice, yeah.
Once or twice.
Yeah.
Cool. So, let me ask you. So, yeah, what were like? Did you get to see like a little bit of the music scene where you grew up in Washington at first, or you were pretty young probably? I don't know. Yeah. Yeah.
So for Washington and West Virginia, I have no idea what the music scene would have been like in that time. But in Dallas, growing up in that music scene, and my teacher was Malcolm Walker. That was the first teacher I've ever had. He was jazz based.
Nice.
And being involved with him and knowing his projects and watching his projects and other friends that were part of projects, I got a really good taste of what the Dallas music scene was. And around high school was when Snarky Puppy started up. So I was getting to see them when they were fresh as well. And
they're out of Dallas?
Yeah, right out of Dallas.
Nice.
And a lot of underground South Dallas hip-hop, There's a lot of good hip-hop down there. Not a lot of big names have came out of Dallas in regards to hip-hop, but it does have a good music scene in that regards. Very, I guess, powerful, driven music scene in that regard. And now, if you want to bring it into 2018, 19, and 2020, not only is Dallas one of the biggest business city hubs
right.
in the nation right now, but you can also find a lot of music outlets out there. Nowhere compared to Austin, but it's getting there. Yeah.
Nice, dude. Hell yeah. I mean, personally, I haven't been to Dallas, but I'd love to go down.
It's cool, man. They've done a lot of infrastructure and stuff.
Nice.
Some really cool architectural things that they've done. And then that south side of Dallas, right where the warehouse district was, is now being re-infrastructured and rebuilt.
Nice.
So it's looking even better.
Nice.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. Texas is a big state.
Huge.
But I got no quorums myself with it.
Me neither.
I've always had a peaceful time whenever I have gone there.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm sure it gets really hot. That'd be something I don't know if I could handle.
That heat wave this year, my dad said, got to 116. Yeah, and that's dry Texas weather too.
No way.
Yeah, hot.
Really, 116.
116.
I find that hard to believe.
Yeah, it got up there.
Nice, dude. So you said you were starting with this guy Malcolm. Was he like your first kind of instructor, teacher, drum wise?
Yeah.
Okay.
I met him. Did a very tiny bit of research when I first started off playing. I wanted to find a good teacher to like get incorporated into the instrument, and he was teaching at the Lancaster School of Music, and that was my first school location. I spent about 4 years there. But everything I learned from him was jazz based. Everything I learned.
Nice.
And everything I've learned now was self-taught.
Nice.
And after that, and like expansion into further rudiments, further genres, even world music came after that.
Nice.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's something to be said, I think, about... there's definitely some tremendous musicians out there who, like, can just pick up stuff on their own, too, and I'm kind of in the same boat as you, where like I've had instructors before, and then I learned a lot on my own, and I went back to instructors in like college and stuff, and then I learned a lot on my own afterwards.
Yeah.
So it's like you have your own like individuality, and then you can kind of break the rules a little bit.
Yeah. And that's a very important part of music.
Yeah.
Originality and like new.
Yeah,
the new aspect of music.
Totally.
People always want to hear it.
Yeah, and Jessica and I were kind of talking about that too, where sometimes you gotta know the rules to break the rules.
True. Yeah.
Anyways, so that kind of answers my next question, but what else was it like just growing up in the Dallas area, like just in general?
Well, growing up for me was there were only two things I was really, or three things I guess you could say, that I was doing or really, really involved in when I was younger. And that was my drums, baseball, and school. And like I really didn't do anything other than that. Like in high school, I never partied.
Really?
I never smoked. I never smoked cigarettes. I never drank. I never really did anything to piss my parents off, because they instilled a mentality in me that, like, the early years, especially high school years, going into college, were the most important years of your life.
Totally.
And so I really just, I would kind of hermit myself, I guess you would say. I had a lot of friends and stuff, but the things that I was focused on were the things that I was focused on.
Right.
So, like, if I wasn't at practice, I'd be studying. If I wasn't studying, I'd be drumming.
Right.
And vice versa,
Nice.
all the way through. And then, when I got to college, things opened up for me a little bit more. I partied more, of course, drank some more, did some drugs, and that definitely opened up my mind. But as of like growing up in Dallas as a child, it was very
strict.
Very strict,
Nice.
Yeah, lots of sports. If I was doing anything outside with friends, it was football, it was basketball. It was some type of running around, biking, trespassing, or something like that, Something where we had to run.
There you go. Yeah.
And that was about it. Yeah.
I feel you. Yeah, you just seem like a baseball guy.
Yeah.
Maybe it's your height, or I don't know.
Long and skinny.
Yeah.
Long and skinny pitcher. Yeah.
So you're a pitcher, yeah, that's kind of what I imagined too.
Yep.
I'm sure having long arms helps.
It does.
I feel like it helps with drumming too.
It does, yeah.
Yeah, because I kind of have long arms too, and it allows you to just have a longer reach.
Makes you look more fluid.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of like an octopus.
Yeah. So, you went to college in Dallas?
Yes, yeah.
Nice. Where'd you go?
Going out of high school, I had a scholarship to go play baseball at University of Texas in Arlington. And I went there and I played for them about 2 years and a semester. 2 years and a semester. But
nice.
a year and a half into my career there, I tore my rotator cuff and had to get surgery. I was 9 months on the IL, or the IR, I guess, injured reserve.
Okay.
And was rehabilitating myself, doing physical therapy, trying to throw again, trying to get my velocity back up to where it was.
Right.
But it took me 9 months. And after 6 months of the rehabilitation, they were talking about bringing in new talent and cutting my scholarship.
Jeez.
Which is what happened.
Fuck.
Yeah, so I got my scholarship cut. I tried to do a little bit more of school on my own with loans for one semester, and I was like, you know what? I can't do this. I need to cut this out. I want to, I don't want to have to pay back thousands of dollars of student loans.
Right.
So my next idea was the military.
Right.
And that's what happened after that.
That's crazy. I mean, there's got to be like some kind of protection against like taking scholarships away due to like physical injuries, like that seems pretty unfair, I think.
Yeah, but that rabbit hole and like that moral kind of like dysfunction within sports is deep. It's real deep. You can see it all over the place with like Coach Saban and like Florida and a lot of other schools that have been like accused of paying their college students to keep them there, to keep the utmost talent, hiding grades.
Right.
Steroid use, HGH use, sexual assault covering up.
Right.
Like it happens, and like I got a very small dose of that, of like what that life is like, or what they expect of you and are willing to do to you.
Right.
Yeah. So
exploitation of students at its max.
There's a ton of it. There's a ton of it, especially with sports students.
Yeah, I'm sure. I mean, it's just like the demand for whatever kind of money they're getting from it is like obviously, gives
a big factor.
Yeah. Yeah, man. There's a lot of personally, like it seems like schools are not going like super great direction in a lot of ways these days. Mm-hmm. Just in terms of like how much it costs and like it's just going up and up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And things like that too. And I don't know too much about the sport realm personally. I didn't really do sports in college, but yeah, that is unfortunate. And but so you went the military route, and so like you got family there.
Yep. I had family who had experienced military, and at first my dad was like, "Don't do it."
Really?
He's like, "Don't do it."
Really?
Yeah. He's like, "It's gonna," because he thought I was gonna go to war. We were like right in the middle of the war on terrorism when I went in, which was 2012.
Yeah.
That's when Obama was trying to stop it, but was failing miserably.
Yeah.
And we just kept shoveling troops over there, not to fight and kill, but to like restructure and clean up and implicate American, lifestyles on the Middle East.
Yeah.
Which I thought was totally wrong.
Totally.
I get 9/11, and that was terrible, and they deserved, to be punished for that. But the other reasons why we went over there for oil and gasoline, and other stuff like that, all of the bad things that America has done over there by like pissing on bodies, illegal drugs, stuff like that. That was uncalled for. All that stuff is uncalled for, and like that creates intercultural boundaries between the Middle East and America.
For sure.
And shoveling our military and our ideas down their throat is not going to help in the war, So
yeah, and then the whole drones thing started with Obama, and that was just like the whole question behind morality there is just like a whole fucking disaster as well.
Yeah.
And it just felt like we were trying to culturally appropriate them and like introduce American democracy into the Middle East, and like of course that's not going to go over well with people. I
mean, we don't even have the same religious thoughts,
Yeah.
And it's like,
yeah, it's one thing to like disagree and be like, yeah, well, maybe like a lot of Muslims are misogynistic, but like, is it our job to go over there and be like, hey, you guys can't do this,
No.
And yeah, I've always said too, and like that's why I never, like, I think a lot of people have thought about the military path, but then, like, there's a serious, you know...
I mean, it's seen all the way down into the ranks, and, like, I don't mean to bash the military or anything, you know, but, like, the military is needed, but it's a lot like the police, you know? It's a lot like the police right now. Like, there are people who come back from war and get improper mental health care that end up beating their children and beating their wives and, like, creating very toxic work environments for these new 19, 20-year-old kids who are coming into the military with totally different ideas than the one that a sergeant, like, first class might have, you know? And you have no choice but to listen and conform as a lower enlisted, you know?
Yeah.
And it can be toxic, and I've seen it. I've seen suicides. I've seen, like, drug use. I've seen,
of course,
a lot of things, or a lot of, like, you know, outlets for soldiers who can't really deal with that emotional stress.
Yeah.
And it's just I guess you would say it's a different tier and a different, like, lens of how improper training can affect, like, the police and military together.
Right.
But, like, yeah, like with sexual assault and all that stuff, like, we used to have death by PowerPoints, where for a whole day they would show us PowerPoints on, like, how to stop sexual harassment, or how to you know, how to implicate equal opportunity, how to respect the LGBTQ plus community and incorporate that into military life, you know?
Right.
And, like, a lot of these things were coming later on, and a lot of people were, you know, saying their stereotypical type stuff. It's like, why the fuck do we need to learn about this, man? Right. Or, like, women don't deserve to be in the military. Or, you know, like, I don't want to fight next to a gay man, you know?
Right. Totally. Yeah, I mean, it sounds like there's maybe some prejudice there. I think there are some legitimate questions to be asked about those sort of things. Mm-hmm. First of all, I mean, like, I would, if, like, I were running the military, I mean, the young adults, like, prefrontal cortex isn't you know, shaped until fully 25, 27. Mm-hmm. You know, and it's, like, mostly young kids who are going into the military, like 18, you know, early 20s, you know.
They're, like, absorbing all that.
Yeah, and they, you know, like, they don't know exactly what they're getting into, probably, you know, and they're, like, more malleable, too, and maybe that's why the military wants younger people.
That's a great point.
But I think, you know, maybe you can hire someone at that age, but maybe they, like, not send them into combat before the age of, like, 25 or 27, so they, like, because you're making serious decisions, you know what I mean? And you want to make sure that your soldiers are, like, as mostly, you know, competent as you would want them to be.
For sure. They need to be, like, emotionally, physically ready at all times.
Yeah,
you know, like, there's a lot of people that I would have went to war with, you know, and, like, you know, fought with until, like, my dying breath. But there's also people in the military that you meet that you wouldn't even get close to doing that, you know. And it's like, you know, it just needs to be more open communication rather than dictatorship between ranks.
Right.
Like, I feel like that would make things a lot healthier. Like, being able to give a private who is emotionally damaged and, like, stressed out the ability to go talk to their superior officer or enlisted, you know, about whatever they need to, and have the confidence to be able to be given the resources to help them with that. So instead of ridicule and shame, you know.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, there seems to, like, be a lot of, like, kind of, like, dominance, like, attitude within military, but I can't speak on it too much at all firsthand, so I don't really know. I usually try not to judge, and, like, I just, you know, I haven't done enough research to know what's going on there, you know, and, like, I've always said, and, like, I usually kind of bite my tongue a little bit about it, but it's like, you know, like, why are we going to these places we don't need to go? It's just all about gas, you know what I mean? And it's
all about money, man.
Yeah.
Capitalism.
Yeah, for sure. Capitalism can definitely go too far, you know.
I feel like that's a byproduct of colonialism too. You know, it's like you have colonialism, and then you have the dominant group implicating this, what we call, like corporate. I guess what was the word for it?
Okay, yeah. So at this point, for some reason, we lose sound. And so basically we just go on to talk about how the military maybe has some corporate interest. And Kitchen kind of talks about his first-hand experience with that. I go on to explain that I am pro-capitalism, but I think at times it can be exploited in a way that is known as cronyism or corporatism. And that really isn't a true expression of what capitalism really is. So I don't want our audience to get too confused on where I stand there. Anyways, that being said, we try not to talk about politics too much in this podcast. And yeah, we're going to take a short break. Okay, Heady, set, go. We're back. Kitchen. Okay, Kitchen, so what kind of music did you listen to growing up? What was your first, CD or physical copy of music that you ever bought? If you can remember.
The first physical copy of music that I was, ever given or exposed to were one of two bands that I remember from my dad. It was Earth, Wind and Fire.
Nice.
And Black Sabbath. Those were his favorite. He would jam those all the time. My first personal CD that I ever owned was when I got my first CD, portable CD player thing. You could hook it onto your pants and shit. Was Slipknot.
Slipknot.
Yeah,
nice.
Slipknot's Duality album.
Okay.
And, man, after that, the list goes on, man. I've been influenced by a lot of different styles of music, ranging from jazz to funk, blues, metal, fusions of jazz and fusions of metal, like Djent and
yeah,
stuff like that. And then all the way to hip hop, R&B. I'm talking Lil Wayne, Destiny's Child, or
nice.
Even pop R&B, I guess you could say, or just pop music. NSYNC, Backstreet Boys,
Nice. Gotta get a little bit of that.
Yeah. Linkin Park, man.
Oh yeah.
Let's see, who else? Yeah, a lot of metal groups, early Chelsea Grin, early Amir, early Suicide Silence before what's his name died of the motorcycle wreck.
Yeah. Didn't someone kill him, or was it?
No,
it was a motorcycle accident.
Yeah, it was an accident, and I don't really think their music's too great without him now.
I feel you.
Let's see. It developed, I've listened to a little bit of EDM.
Nice.
My fiance gives me all types of music references from earlier, like Kate Bush,
right,
to the Yoko Ono song we listened to.
Yeah.
And a lot of other different ones, French music, little bit of Korean. I feel like it might be more Japanese influenced tunes, but Asian culture influenced tunes. She showed me a couple of them.
Nice.
And then, but recently, I guess in the last 10 years, that's what I'll declare as recently, has been more world music than anything.
Yeah.
I've been so interested in like Spanish flamenco, Argentinian tango, Cuban song, Cuban rumba, even all the way down to like sitar metal, Indian metal, you
nice.
know, and like, Japanese jazz. That's actual thing.
Really?
If you guys are Animal Crossings fans, the guy who composes that music is one of the best Japanese guitarists to ever live.
Really?
And I definitely recommend you to check out that entire piece of music of Animal Crossings and his like plethora of music that he's done since, I think he's like in his 50s now, but he's been writing since he was 16.
Nice.
Yeah. So
Do you know his name?
I can't remember
Okay.
it. Yeah, it's like Harukima. I can't really remember it off the top of my head right now.
All right.
Yeah.
But he composed all the music for Animal Crossing.
Mm-hmm. New Horizons, the new one. Yeah.
Nice. I'll have to check that out personally.
Yeah. Let's see. I've been listening to a lot of like Middle Eastern. What do you call it? Kind of like regime music, you know? Music that is written here in America, mostly New York and like the East Coast, but it's about the lives that they lived in the Middle East and oppression from the Middle East and the reason why they wanted to leave war and poverty to come to America for the American dream, of course, and how their lives of transferring from one oppression to the next.
Right.
And just like that lifestyle of being, I guess you can say, a borderlander, you know, where you're not really in the group, you know the group, but you're on an outside perspective, you know. Yeah. And I really like that type of music. I think that type of music is very important to like the day and age we're in right now, and also very important to understanding different cultures and their music, you know?
Totally.
That's tons of influences.
Yeah. Sounds like it's super eclectic.
Yeah.
Influences there, and I like that last statement you made too about, you know, I think music is like kind of the blood that culturally brings us all together, you know? It's like,
yeah.
I know people who get like trapped in one genre and then just like anything else besides that genre is like illegitimate, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's just like, I think that's just like such closed-minded way to think about it, you know what I mean? And,
Totally agree.
but yeah, I like that your first CD was Slipknot too, and I think as a drummer especially, like there's just like a lot of interesting things going on.
Mm-hmm. And as a teacher too, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I taught at the School of Rock for a little bit, and all we were teaching was rock music, you know? And I get that it's a very good genre of music for bassists on drums, you know, because you got four to the floor. You got, you got non-syncopated beats where it's right on the one and it's right on the two, you know?
Right.
And, like, you can get really syncopated with rock, but, you know, old school classic rock isn't really known to be like that, you know? Everything's really in line, you know, and driven.
Yeah.
And, like, if somebody who was a rock and roll fanatic was to like just switch their mindset a little bit and look over to like even samba, Brazilian samba, or Brazilian bossa nova. Brazilian bossa nova is American jazz,
right?
Just with a samba beat behind it.
Yeah.
And like, I mean, if you're actually like in the jazz world, that is the standard that is accepted now. Most jazz tunes are played in the bossa nova rhythm, and that's standard. And let's see, man, like just a sheer syncopation and like development of drums in those different parts of the world, especially Africa, Afro-Cuban beats and stuff like that.
For sure,
they're constantly switching from triplet notes to 16th notes and 8th notes with like polyrhythms between the right foot and the left foot, and the right hand and the left hand. And as a teacher, I feel like that's very important to teach kids.
Totally.
Yeah.
limb independence, I guess.
Yep, limb independence.
For sure, like that's super important. And I think, like if you want to excel at any genre, like you should have an eclectic influences of all kinds of different worldly genres as well.
Absolutely.
I really like South American music a lot too, in terms of just like rhythm.
Yeah.
Like
the clave rhythm.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally. Just like mixes it up a lot, and like Tito Puente?
Yep.
Like I have this one album that I used to jam to it all the time, and it's just so much fun. You know what I mean? And like something that's so beautiful about like South American music is like there's like a lot of wild rhythm going on, but it's also like not too harsh on the ear either. Right. It's just like it still feels so beautiful, like
so equalized and like emotionally driven. You know?
Yeah. And like there are some genres, like especially rock, where it's like it's suppressing rhythm almost. There's a lot of rock music that just feels dull in terms of rhythm.
True.
And it's hard as a drummer to listen to it,
because you're like, oh, I do this here,
Yeah, exactly. But but there's also like the standard in American music of like that's the expectation sometimes too. It's just
right.
Because it's just drilled into people's heads, just like the standard 4/4 like rock beat.
And you can see it so much in like popular music and popular culture too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Doom ta doom ta doom ta.
Yeah. Exactly. But I think we're really like we're moving away from it. I think we'll always be there. Okay, so again, here we lose sound for some reason. I apologize. In the future episodes, hopefully we'll have this figured out. But yeah, anyways, Kitch and I just kind of go on to continue to talk about how complex rhythm and other forms of world rhythm and percussion, obviously, and drums, being it that Kitchen and I are both drummers, has found its way into the rock and world music, and hopefully will progress and continue to make its way into the rock and world music. But also at the same time, obviously, the standard rock beat is here to stay, most likely, and there's a time and a place for that in both of our opinions, I would say. Anyways, we're gonna have Kitchen again on the show at some point, and he may even be hosting the show at some point in the future as well. So just stay tuned, guys, and thanks for joining us on our journey to the Energyverse. Peace.